Hi guys, happy Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. So, how are we doing with the Ouija boot camp, guys? Are you guys good with everything, pretty much? I hope everything is going well. Alright, so, yes, I will be here a lot more because of the dog and because of everything that's going on with him, and yes, so I will be here more, and I will be more readily available to you guys to answer questions, to help you with whatever you need. So, last night I was reading, and I did some divination with the tarot, and just to kind of see, the Baphomet wisdom. The Baphomet wisdom is actually becoming something really amazing, and I really want to share this with you guys. Again, you guys have to get this book. It is seriously amazing. So I do want to share with you, though, the Baphomet wisdom, tarot wisdom. So, like I told you guys, I've been working with for probably about 2 years to 3 years now, 4 years, strictly with the major arcana of the tarot. So, Baphomet's book came in perfectly handy. His Bible. I thought it was going to be bigger, but this is perfect for all his stuff. So, and this is purely for Baphomet. So, in Libro Gloria Cosa Satani, which is the book of Baphomet. So, in the beginning, so it's kind of like it's kind of like a little history book of Baphomet for me. So, everything that I've learned goes into the book, obviously. So, yes, everything. You have to write very tiny. I mean, very tiny. So, it's kind of what I've been doing. And I really like when I get, like, the bursts of information. Yeah, it's a pretty freaking amazing. And then we go into the actual tarot with Baphomet. So I kind of switched it up, and I went from, just general tarot with Baphomet, from that to tarot wisdom from Baphomet. So it's just you have to write very tiny, of course. So going back and just kind of going and looking at all the different cards, all of the major cards, everything from the point I started doing tarot with the Baphomet. Everything has lined up. Everything. So, let's see. Actually, I started my first tarot card reading with Baphomet at 8:59 p.m. Where's my date, though? So, on 9/19. So, let's see. It's hasn't even been it's been a good month. It's just amazing to see how the cards all unravel. And so last night I did a little divination about the dog to see what could be done. I did set up a little fundraiser on Facebook. I don't know how that works. So I don't know. I don't know. He's got a tumor that they really do think is cancerous, and so they're going to remove it. And hopefully, I don't know, I don't even want to go there right now. So, I did get the magician for, what to do about my dog. Basically what it said is magician's face, which I find really cool, is both masculine and feminine. It has both masculine and feminine features. So, here she wears a fillet decorated with lemon skeet, used in math to signify eternity. Okay, so going back to the Ouija now, it's Ouija superstitions. When the planchette has the figure 8, it only means eternity. So, through mental powers, she or he rules the 4 elements, the 4 suits of the tarot. The roses of passion and the lilies of purity are near the table. So, basically, the Roman numeral 1 is identical to the Roman letter I, which signifies the self-aware, the self-aware ego in English. So, kind of taking from just, what really popped out in the book. So, the magician manipulates the elements to invent, to create, to cast a spell. So he rules innovation and pioneering work, research and development, experimental or avant-garde art. So, and radical sociology. So his works has the potential to fulfill the needs of humans. So I took that as healing my dog. So though he is neutral, Baphomet. So he is neutral. The magician is. Where'd I go? I don't know where I went. So, yes. Yeah, he has the potential to fulfill the needs of us. Though he is neutral as to the moral implications of its uses. So, basically, the energy, the magical agent that we tap into to fully tap into the current of healing, which is really cool. So yeah, it was really cool to see, how this actually, it literally does. These cards, the major, they do show everything that we need, everything that is going on in our human daily lives. It's so amazing. It truly is amazing. Why am I... There we go. So yeah, I just found a lot, so I thought that was pretty cool. So the magician rules over crackpots, whose great ideas never make it off the drawing table. So inventors, con artists, master artisans, and artists who concentrate more on style and form than on content and meaning. So that didn't really, it wasn't much. So the magician also attributes all of what he knows to his teachers, and just so on and so forth. So I just had to share that with you guys. That was pretty cool. Haven't made really a dent. So yes, looking to get this in a giant, bigger size, which would be much more amazing. Alright, so yesterday we went over a bunch of talismans and what did we go over? We went over the numbers, numerology in Hebrew numerology, Kabbalah. Quite a bit of interesting stuff. For ceremonial magician or witch, I like witch. I don't like the word magician. It makes me think of Sigmund and Freud. Okay, so concerning the magical instruments, the principal ones are, so within this book, these are the principal objects, tools of the witch that we should be using. So it's very different. So the principal ones are the wand, the sword, the lamp, the cup, the altar, and the tripod. So I'm curious, what kind of tripod is this? Why do I not know what this is? I know what a tripod is. Would that be a triangle? A pyramid? So, in high and divine operations of magic, we use the lamp, the wand, and the cup. So, you don't use the sword in any kind of, really, you don't use the sword in any kind of gray or white magic. So, alright. Okay, now, in works of black magic, which I do not think that black magic is the worst kind of magic. I don't. I think love magic is the worst kind of magic. So in works of black magic, we replace the wand with a sword and the lamp with, Cardano's candle. So, basically what that, it's a slideshow projector. So an early form of a magical lantern or a slide projector like the lamp. See the description of the lamp at the end of the chapter, which I would really love to make the lamp. I would love to make that lamp, but it is so, and there's too much to it. I mean, there's too much to it. So that's why I did my my impromptu Hermes Trismegistus, or Thoth, you know, the thrice great born, with the golden or gold brass, whatever, the 3 candle holders. So I had 1 in the middle for black, 2 on each side of the black one, orange. It's supposed to be yellow, but it looks orange. For literal, just, you know, connection, wisdom, and realization. So it's pretty good, and it illuminates, the black candle illuminates your inner daemon, yes, it kindles and it nurtures, there's my word, it nurtures your inner, all your inner good stuff in your heart space. So, alright, the magical wand, which one should not confuse with a simple divinatory wand, or with the fork of the necromancers, or Paracelsus's trident. So Paracelsus really did an amazing kind of wand. We talked about that yesterday. So the true absolute magical wand must be of a single cast, perfectly straight, of an almond tree or hazel tree, cut with a single cut of a magical pruning knife, or a golden sickle, before dawn, at the moment when the tree is ready to flower. So, one must, I need glasses, guys. One must perforate it along its entire length, so without cracking or breaking it, and insert a long magnetized iron needle, which goes through the entire length. So, we are seeing everything that I've ever heard about the wands that have the giant rods inside of them that are magnetized. There we go. So yeah, it must be through the entire length. Then we attach to one of the extremities a polyhedral prism. A polyhedral prism. What would that be? A double tourmalated pointed crystal, which is triangularly cut, and at the other end the same form but in black resin. What kind of resin are they wanting? I mean, I have resin, but I don't think it's the kind of resin that this book is speaking about. Alright, so in the middle of the wand you will place 2 rings, one of red copper, the other of zinc. Then the wand will be glided on the other side of the resin and silvered on the side of the prism up until the ring's in the middle, and then you cover it in silk until the extremities only. So that's very different. So on the copper ring, one must engrave these characters, which represents its Hebrew, so IRVSHLM HQDSH, which is Jerusalem the Holy. So, and then on the zinc ring, you are going to basically SHLMH HMLK, which is short for Solomon the King. So, very, very Solomonic magic. Love it. The consecration of the wand must last 7 days. Wow. 7 days. That's a lot. I like that though. So, beginning on the new moon, and must be done by an initiate who possesses the Grand Arcanum, and who he himself has a consecrated wand. So, it is the transmission of the magical priesthood. With this transmission has not ceased since the obscure origins of the high science. The wand and other instruments must the wand and the other instruments, but most of all the wand, must be carefully hidden, and under no pretext should the mage allow them to be seen or touched by the profane. Otherwise they will lose their power and all of their virtue. So, my wand is very different. So I did this one, and obviously it is not. This is not completely straight like it should be. That's alright though. So what I did with my wand is I drilled a hole in the very center, probably to about down to here. And then I filled it with certain items of myself. And then I wrapped it with twine, actual hemp. And at the top, I just did a basic crystal. So, we can see, from the elbow up, it's arm's length. So that's perfect. But, so now I'm going to, I'm not going to follow with the wand, because you direct your own energy. It is an extension of yourself. So if I can wrap this with more hemp and really get that to look straight, maybe even some copper wire around it, I could improvise. So hopefully that would work. And then you're not supposed to touch it much. You're not supposed to handle your wand that much. So, let's see. Okay, so the manner of transmission of the wand is one of the arcana of science that is never permitted to be revealed. So, that's never going to be revealed. We can find it somewhere, I am sure. So the length of the magical wand should not exceed the length of the arm of the operator, which it does not. So the mage should not use it, make use of it, except when he is alone, and he should never touch it needlessly. Many ancient mages made it only the length of their forearm, which is pretty good. I mean, I came pretty damn close, and hid it in their long sleeves. So, underneath, I could see them actually with the giant belled robes, like I have to, yes, I actually did trim that, kind of tied. You can see, I can just kind of see the ancient mages tying it in a certain way around their forearm. And then they have it carry, it's like they carry, in your cloak, your magical tools. So kind of like a traveler, like a traveling altar, in a sense. So I thought that was kind of neat to share with you guys. So, showing only the divinatory wand to the public. So that one is basically my divinatory wand. So, or some allegorical scepter made of ivory or ebony, depending on the nature of the works. So yes, this is very different from traditional witchcraft. Very different from traditional witchcraft, which I'm very used to and I follow. And that one is created within the traditional witchcraft way. So, alright, so here's an example of a man who always chased after power. That's all he wanted was power. So, and his name is Cardinal Richelieu, I think. Richelieu. Cardinal Richelieu, who is always chasing after power. He searched all of his life for the transmission of the wand without ever managing to find it. So, his Kabbalist, Gaffarel, could only provide him with the sword and the talismans. So, this was perhaps the secret motive behind his hatred for Urbain Grandier, who knew something of the Cardinal's weakness. So, the secret and lengthy interviews between these two and the poor priest, just a few hours before his last ordeal, and the words of a friend and confidant of his when Urbain was heading towards death. Monsieur, you are a clever man. Do not lose your way, unquote. Provide a great deal to think about regarding the subject. So, very different from traditional witchcraft. So, the magical wand is the how do I say that word? The Erndom of the mage. He must not speak about it in a clear and precise manner. no one should boast about having one, and one should not transmit this consecration except under conditions of discretion and absolute confidence. So, that is the most magical tool that we actually have, is the wand. The wand is the most magical tool that we do have. Now, as the sword is much less occult. So the sword is less occult, and there is here is what one must do. So, for your sword, this is very different. So it must be made of pure steel, with a handle of copper, made in the form of a cross, with 3 pommels, as it is represented in the, I don't know that word, Imprudent of Leo III, or which has a guard made of 2 crescents as 1 figure. On the central knot of the guard, one must be gold-plated, and one must engrave the sign of the microcosm on one side and the sign of the macrocosm on the other. So, on the pommel, one must engrave the Hebrew monogram for Michael, because he is the one, basically, he is, his sword. Okay, so as one sees it in Agrippa, and on the blade, on the other side of the characters, Balaam Yakma, I think. So, and on the other, the monogram of Constantine's Labarum, followed by the words Vince, in hoc, dus, pharaoh, commit, conquer in this sign, with God as your leader, and a sword as your companion. So, for sincere and exact reproductions of these figures, see the best ancient editions of the Imprudent. So, very different. Very different. The consecration of the wand. So, we know the wand's properties, which is pretty freaking amazing. Very different from traditional witchcraft. So, the sword. Now, the consecration of the sword must be done on a Sunday during daylight hours, under the invocation of Michael. So, you will put the blade of the sword into a fire of laurel and cypress. Then wipe and polish the blade with the ashes of the sacred fire. So you're going to moisten with the blood of a mole or a serpent. See, that's very old. This is very, very old. And you will say, Sis mihi gladius, Michaelis, in virtue, Elohim, Sabbatoth, fugiant ate spiritus, tembracum et reptilia tiare. So, and that means, let this be unto me the sword of Michael, in the power of Elohim, Semaboth, let the spirits of the shadows, and the creeping things of the earth flee from thee. Okay, so, that makes sense, right? Michael, Saint Michael, very good, multicultural, everywhere. So, then you will perfume. So you're going to perfume the sword with the perfumes of the sun, and you enclose it in silk with branches of verbena, which must be burned on the 7th day. So, 7. Very magical numbers everywhere. I'm finding this to be just the most amazing stuff. So, the reason I am doing this, the reason I am telling you guys this, is for Ouija Boot Camp, Ouija Magical Boot Camp. You guys can take all of these practices, anything that you want, and you can actually put them in your own grimoires. You can trial and error with these. Just be careful. Just be careful. Because there is a word of warning that is coming up. When is there not? That was close. Nobody will touch my girls. And by my girls, I mean Joe and Sylv. Not even a cigarette ash. Alright, so, very different for the wand. or for the sword. And then the transmission of the wand, the energy, that's very different too. So, alright. So we have gone over the quarter, the wand, and the sword, the consecration of the wand. Okay. And we have gone over the perfumes of the days of the week, all of that good stuff in previous videos, which is amazing. I mean, incredible. Alright, so the magical lamp. Now this is what I am. If you guys know how to do this, let me know. If you guys know a way, an alternative way around this to produce this lamp, I must have this lamp. I must have this lamp. Don't know why. I just must. Alright, the magical lamp must be made of 4 metals. So this is confusing. Gold, silver, bronze, and iron. The foot will be in iron. The knot of bronze, the cup of silver, and the triangle in the middle of gold. It will have 2 arms, composed of 3 metals, twisted together in a manner, however, which allows for a triple conduit for the oil. So this is an oil lamp, which I'm loving. I love oil lamps. I'm really getting back into the aromatherapy and the oils. Not so much doing them on video, but I will, because I know you guys like that. So, yeah, it is a triple conduit for the oils, so this is really is bugging me because I don't know how to do this. So it must have 9 wicks, 3 in the middle, and 3 for each arm. So, what I just showed you, the figure of that lamp, that is what this is. So, on the foot, you will engrave the seal of Hermes, and above it, Kunrath's 2-headed androgynon, which would be Baphomet. So, the lower border of the foot will represent a serpent biting its tail. So on the cup or oil receptacle, you will engrave the sign of Solomon. So this lamp will be adapted 2 globes, one decorated with transparent pictures representing the 7 spirits. Okay, so we know the 7 spirits, we know the 7 days of the week, we have all of that information, the perfumes, the colors, stones. Alright, so and then the other, which is larger and doubled, capable of containing in 4 compartments between 2 glasses, water which is tinted in various colors. So this is very confusing to me. I think I would actually literally pay someone to do this for me, but then it wouldn't be my own energy, it wouldn't have my signature, so I have to do it myself. So the entire lamp will be enclosed in a column of wood that turns freely. So what, a lazy Susan? Something like this? Is this what we're doing? I'm very confused. Okay, which is able to let escape at will one of the rays from the lamp, which you will direct towards the smoke from the altar at the moment of the invocations. So this lantern, in other words, is a magical lantern in the 19th century sense of that term, a simple form of a slide projector designed to project the image of spirit using a cloud of incense as a screen. I'm very confused now. I'm very confused about this. So, the lamp is of great help in aiding with intuitive operations, slow imagination, and is able to immediately create in front of a magnetized person the forms of a terrifying reality, which helps multiplied by mirrors. So this will cause a mage's chamber to suddenly grow and change it into a single immense room filled with visible souls. Okay, so there we go, evocation. So I am thinking this is something to do with the... I don't know. I am at a loss for this one. So the intoxication of the incense and the exaltation of the invocations will soon transform this phantasmagoria into true dreams. So we will recognize persons we had known, phantoms will speak, then if we close up the column of the lamp while redoubling the fire of the perfumes, something extraordinary and unexpected will occur. So this lamp, YouTube time. YouTube time. So, I got to do the lamp. So the lamp, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So, what did we not go over? So we went over a lot. So the talismans, amulets, which I still have to blog a few things for you guys. So that was a very important part of the page, so it's completely highlighted. I think the whole book is almost highlighted. Alright, so a warning to the imprudent. So, alright, this is, you must. So, a warning to the imprudent. Okay, as we have already said several times, the operations of science are not without their dangers. We all know that. We all know that. So, they can lead to madness for those who are not strengthened by a foundation of supreme, absolute, and infallible reason. So if you don't have a firm foundation, a spiritual foundation, it's not good. It's not good. So this is why I think that I have been led all the way up until now to this book. So I think it took this long, 33 years, for this book to come to me. So, they can overexcite their nervous system and produce terrible and incurable maladies, sicknesses. So, this is why that's why people are always so sick. I am learning through this how not to be sick over this. So, literally turning all that into something good, positive, transmuting it like you should be doing, which is amazing. So that is why you see a lot of people, yes, a lot of younger and older folks, that feel like they are under psychic attack. They have all kinds of sicknesses, all kinds of problems, all kinds of drama. That is because of they're not balanced. They don't have any equilibrium. They're misusing what magic is actually for. So I think you guys know somebody like that. Everybody knows somebody like that in their lives. Everybody does. Alright, so yes, it does overexcite the nervous system. So, alright, they can, with their imagination strikes, when their imagination strikes, and terrorize them, faint, and even die due to cerebral congestion. If you're that deep into your path, your craft, your magic, yes, definitely. I really do believe that. So we can thus never too often deter nervous and easily enthused persons, women, young people, and all those who are not in the habit of having a perfect command over their fears. This is why we must overcome fears of the board, so we can have successful sessions and successful everything, magical workings. It's beautiful. True magic is beautiful. So, alright. So yes, you have got to do a lot of shadow work. So nothing is more dangerous than turning magic into a hobby, like certain people who make it an ornament for their stories. Magnetic experiments themselves conducted under such conditions can only tire the subjects. So, misled opinion and obfuscate the science. So we do not play with the mysteries of life and death with impurity, and those things which should be taken seriously must be treated seriously and with great reserve. So, okay, so never yield to the desire to convince through effects, which basically means don't push your stuff onto other people to try to convince somebody that this is real, or, you know, that your workings are true. It's just not going to happen. So, the most surprising effects will not act as proofs for those who are not convinced beforehand. So, we can always attribute them to natural illusions, and look upon the mage as more or so less of a rival. So, to demand miracles in order to believe in the science is to show oneself to be unworthy or incapable of the science. Sancta sanctus, which means it's Latin. So, holy things are for the holy. So, nor should you ever boast about the works you have performed, even if you have resurrected the dead. Fear persecution. The great masters always recommended silence to the sick that he cured. So, and if this silence has been faithfully kept, they would not have been crucified, the initiator, before he had finished his work. So, that's just, I mean, it sounds scary, but when you're spiritually grounded very well and you have a good path, like we all do, I think, we're pretty good. So, meditate on the 12th figure of the keys of the tarot. Think of the great symbol of Prometheus and remain silent. So, again, the tarot. So, again, I'm going to do a video on the major arcana, and we will go through them all and we have got to find something that's got so many mysteries in it. So, alright, all the mages who had divulged their works died a violent death. Many were reduced to suicide, like Cardano, Scofer, Cagliostro, and many others. So, the mage must live in retreat and be difficult to approach. So that is what the symbol of the 9th key of the tarot represents, where the initiate is symbolized by a hermit completely covered by his cloak. So, nevertheless, this retreat cannot result in isolation. So, balance, balance, balance. The mage requires devotion and friendships, but he must choose them carefully and keep that at any price. So basically, yes, keep friends. If you have one friend, just keep that friend at any price. So that's how the value of friendship and love. So to engage in ceremonial magic, one must be without troubling preoccupations. So one must be able to produce all the instruments of science and know when the need arises how to make them oneself. Finally, one must have a private laboratory where one does not have to fear of being sustained or surprised or bothered. So, and this is the essential condition, one must know how to balance the forces and contain the monumentum of one's own initiatives. This is what the 8th figure of the Key of Hermes represents. The 8th figure in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Check it out. So, okay, so yeah, in which we see a woman sitting between two columns, holding a sword in her right hand and a balance in the other. So that's the 2 of Swords. So to equilibrate the forces, one must maintain them simultaneously and cause them to act alternatively, a double action, which is represented by the use of balance. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Alright, so just a few more. So, alright, balance. Here, this is all about balance. This is good stuff. So thus Venus gives equilibrium to the works of Mars. Mercury tempers and accomplishes the works of the sun and the moon. That's my planet. Where'd I go? Saturn must balance Jupiter. It is through the antagonism of the ancient gods that Prometheus, that is to say the genius of science, managed to enter Olympus and steal fire from heaven. So it's pretty interesting stuff. So, okay, the more sweet and calm you are, the more power your anger will have. The more energetic you are, the more value your leisure will have. The more skillful you are, the more you will profit from your intelligence and even your virtues. The more indifferent you are, the easier it will be to make yourself loved. So this is all about temperance. This is an experience of a moral order and is realized strictly within the sphere of action. The human passions are fated to produce when they are within the sphere of action. The human passions are fated to produce when they are not directed. Effects contrary to their unbridled desires. Excessive love produces antipathy. Blind hatred is annulled and punishes itself. So, vanity leads to abasement, not a literal basement, abasement. So, and the most cruel humiliations. The great master thus revealed a mystery of positive magical science when he said, "If you wish to accumulate burning coals upon the head of he who causes you harm, pardon him, and do him good." And this comes from Romans 12:20. So that's pretty amazing. So kill him with kindness, basically. That's in Ouija Pop. So we might say that a person that such a pardon would be hypocritical and resembles a refined form of vengeance. But one must remember that the mage is sovereign, and a sovereign never takes revenge, since he has the right to punish. But when he exercises that right and does his duty, he is as implacable as justice. So let us carefully note here, so that no one misunderstands his words, Levi's words. This is a matter of punishing evil with good and opposing sweetness to violence. If the exercise of virtue is a flagellation for vice, no one has the right to ask that we spare or take pity upon its disgrace and its suffering. This book is amazing. So, lots of little different secrets that are just kind of creeping in and really making an impact. The tiniest of these make a giant impact. Okay, a few more. Just a few more. Alright, so I do like that. So he who engages in the works of science must exercise moderately every day, abstain from staying up too late, and follow a healthy and a regular regimen. So this is basically, just taking care of yourself, taking care of your body. So, he must avoid putrid odors, stagnant water, indigestible or impure foods. Most of all, he must distract himself from daily magical preoccupations with material cares, or works either of art or of industry, or even by his professional duties. So, very interesting. Okay, so the way to see clearly is not always to be looking. It's not always to be looking. So, that's if you're over your mind, literally mind fucking it. So don't do that. Don't, search. Just let it happen naturally and gradually, because it works. And it's amazing when it does. So, Okay, and he who always spends his life on the same goal will end up by never attaining it. So, another precaution one should always take is never engage in magical operations while sick. So, the ceremonies being, as we have said, an artificial means of creating habits of will. They cease being necessary when those habits are established. That is why it is you need more goals than just one magical goal. So it is in this manner, while addressing only perfect adepts, that Paracelsus prescribed their use in occult philosophy. One must simplify them progressively before completely omitting them, according to the experience of your acquired powers and our established habits in the exercise of the extra-natural will. So, lots of good stuff there. Lots of good stuff there. So, this is why. So that is why. Balance. And Baphomet has been telling me, I have been getting so much from Baphomet on balance. Temper myself. I can see how the mania, I have, bipolar mania, I can see, it's almost like that. It's, you are going, and you're feeling good, you're doing your magic too much, and then you crash. That's how mania is. It's terrible. So, tons of just interesting and amazing things in that book. I am just blown away by everything that comes from it, everything that I've learned, I can share with you guys. It is seriously amazing. So, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth also, it does discuss gender and our physical form, our physical bodies. All of them have keys. They all have what the keys are in the book, obviously. So, but that book is the key to why we are who we are. So, and I'm still determined on the prenatal environment around the fetus. I am still trying to kind of just wrap my head around that. I'm kind of understanding more of it now, but I think with a little more research, scientific research maybe, or even asking, an OBGYN, there are psychologists, psychiatrists, a neuroscientist, that is my EDMR therapist, she is a neuroscientist, so that would be something that I could talk to her about. She very much believes, what happens when you are in the womb affects you when you come out. So, very, very, it's a very interesting topic, so, it's a very interesting topic. But, so, we've gone over exercising the 4 directions. We have gone over the magical numbers, some of them. We have employed sigil magic within our Ouija sessions. To Liam, you are amazing at sigil magic. You do sigil magic the exact same way I do, and I love that. That is amazing. So we've gone over some superstitions about the Ouija, the bad reputation that it has, and why it has it. We've gone into history. We've gone into La Santísima Muerte. So, this is just a base. So I am seeing you guys grow. It's incredible. It is incredible to see you guys grow. Alright, so there are just a few more little things that I want to share. So, Alright, now this is back to the Serpentry of Talismans. So, this is just kind of a mishmash today. So, alright. So the magical works. Also number 7. First, works of light and wealth under the auspice of the sun. Second, works of divination and mysteries under the invocation of the moon. Third, works of skill, science, and eloquence under the protection of Mercury. Fourth, works of anger and punishment consecrated to Mars. Fifth, works of love favored by Venus. Sixth, works of ambition and politics under the auspices of Jupiter. 7. The works of malediction and of the dead under the patronage of Saturn. So, in theological symbolism, the sun represents the verb of truth. So, the verb is the word. What we create, what we speak, is what we bring into existence. So, the moon represents religion itself. So, where'd I go? Oh, Mercury, the interpretation and the science of the mysteries. So, this is, we can really employ the planets in our magical workings, just to see. So, yes. Mercury, the interpretation and the science of the mysteries. Mars, justice. Venus, charity and love. Jupiter, the recitated and glorious Savior. Saturn, God the Father of the Jehovah of Moses. And in the human body, the sun is analogous to the heart, the moon to the brain, Jupiter to the right hand, Saturn to the left foot, with the left hand, Mars to the right foot, Venus to the left foot, Mercury to the genitalia, the spirit of this last planet being sometimes represented by an androgynous figure, which would be Baphomet. So, in the human face, the sun dominates the forehead, Jupiter the right eye, Saturn the left eye. The moon reigns between the two eyes, at the root of the nose, whose two wings are governed by Mars and Venus. Finally, Mercury exerts his influence on the mouth and the chin. So, with these notions, the ancients formed the occult science of Sigamony, imperfectly rediscovered by Lavater. So, it was a Swiss writer who published extensively on the art of sigamy, which reads faces the way a palmist would read your hand. So, alright. So, those are the numbers. Lots of numbers. So, let me see here. There was just a few more that I wanted to cover with you guys. So, the medium and the mediator. Or, I think this is very important for you guys to know. I'm still thinking about that lamp. I want to know how to do that lamp. I will compensate somebody to aid me in that working. But then again, it might not be a good idea. So we don't know. Okay. Now, this is the medium and the mediator. So here is where we come in with the Ouija and any kind of magical working, spirit communication, tarot, dowsing rods, all of it. So, right. So, we have said that in order to acquire magical power, one needs to do two things. To free the will from all servitude and train it in domination. Okay, so that is getting over any chains or bonds. A lot of people have chains or bonds linked to Christianity. Very common, very normal for everybody to do. For that to happen to people, I mean, I did for a while. I was very scared of hell. And then I realized, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So, okay, so the sovereign will is represented in our symbols by the woman who crushes the serpent's head, and by the radiant angel who restrains and contains the dragon under his foot and under his lance. So, alright, let us declare here without bandying about the great magical agent. The double current of light, the living and astral fire of the earth, was symbolized by the serpent with the head of a bull or a goat or a dog in the ancient theogonies. So it is the double serpent of the Caduceus. It is the ancient serpent of Genesis, but it is also the brazen serpent of Moses, interlaced with the Tau, that is to say, the generative ligament. It is also the goat of the Sabbath, and the Baphomet of the Templars. It is the Heil of the Gnostics. It is the double tail of the serpent, which, from the legs of the solar cockerel of Abraxas. Finally, it is the devil of Uds de Merville, somebody. And it is actually the blind force that souls must conquer to break free of the chains of the earth. So, alright. That is the magical agent. Basically, the magical agent is everything, all in one. So, alright, so, because if their will does not detach from this fatal magnetism of being scared of Christianity or, any of its tenets, then they will be absorbed into the current by the force which produced them and will return to the central and eternal fire. So, that's breaking away the chains. So all magical work thus consists of freeing oneself from the coils of the ancient serpent, then placing one's foot on its head, and driving him where one wishes. So, right here, it says, I will give you, he says, in the evangelical myth, all the kingdoms of the earth, if you kneel down and if you adore me. The initiate must answer him, I will not kneel down, and you shall crawl before my feet. And you shall give me nothing, but I shall make use of you. And I will take what I wish, because I am your Lord and Master. And an answer which is understood, but veiled in the answer which the Savior gives him. Interesting. Completely interesting. It is so amazing. I wish I had a book club. Alright, so we have already said that the devil is not a person. It is a force led astray, as his name indicates identically. So, what does that mean? Alright, the devil is not a person, it is a force led astray. And his name indicates incidentally. So, the English word devil, like the French diable, comes ultimately from the Greek word dia, a cross, and balain, to throw. Levi Riley interprets one word to mean thrown out, which is plausible if inaccurate. How amazing is that? Quite amazing. So, right, so yes, the devil is just a force led astray. An odic or magnetic current formed by a chain of wills, which would be everybody that does give power and believes in the literal sense of Satan or the devil of the Christians. So, of the wills is what constitutes this evil spirit. You're feeding it. It's a thought form, nothing more. So, which the Gospels call legion, and which drives the swine into the sea. A new allegory for the driving of basely instinctive beings by blind forces, which can set into motion evil will and terror. So, very interesting stuff. Read between the lines with all this stuff, you guys. Read between the lines. So we can compare this symbol to that of the companions of Ulysses, who are changed into swine by the magician Circe. In addition, observe what Ulysses does to protect himself and save his companions. He refuses the cup of the enchantress and commands her with his sword. So, Circe is nature with its pleasure and its attractions. So, to enjoy her, one must conquer her. And that is the meaning of the Homeric fable. Because the poems of Homer, the veritable sacred books of ancient Hellas, contains all the mysteries of the high initiates of the Orient. How cool. Alright, so the natural medium is therefore the serpent, always active and seducing one to the slothful drives, which must always be resisted and subdued. So, an amorgus mage, a gluttonous mage, a wrathful mage, a lazy mage are impossible monstrosities. The mage thinks and wills. He craves nothing lustfully. He rejects nothing passionately. The word passion represents a passive state. And the mage is always active and victorious. So, the most difficult thing to do in the high magic science is to arrive at this realization. When the mage has created himself, the great work is accomplished, at least in its instrument and its cause. I hope you guys are catching on to this. It's pretty good. Alright, now, the great agent or natural mediator of human omnipotence can only be used and directed by an extra-natural mediator, which is an emancipated will. So one of the most fertile of writers, and the least fixed in his ideas, M. Eugene Sue, has built an entire romantic saga around an individual whom he endeavors to render despicable, and who becomes interesting despite the author, because the latter gives him so much more power, patience, audacity, intelligence, and genius. It concerns an equivalent of Sixtus V, poor, sober, and without anger, who holds the entire world wrapped in the network of his clever mechanisms. So, pretty interesting. So this man excites the passion of his adversaries at will, and destroys them one against the other, manages to arrive where he wishes to go, and without noise, without flash, without charlatanism. So, very interesting stuff, guys. Very interesting. So the condition of all this is that a true magician is more redoubtable than lovable. So the great magical works of science are mortal to pleasure. The man who delivers himself from the chain of instincts will first notice his omnipotence through the submission of animals. So, alright, I think we have gone over quite a bit today. So, boot campers, just keep studying, keep doing the meditations. I have to go get my license renewed. I will be back, and I will blog a lot of different stuff for you guys for tonight. So, just keep working on your assignments. There's very few right now, so you guys are doing amazing. I'm very happy. So, alright guys, I will see you all tomorrow, and I love you all. Follow my heart, all the way from Venus, all the way back down. So, alright, just kind of think about everything that was said, quoted, and just kind of think about it. And take notes if you want to. Alright guys, I love you all very much, and thank you guys for watching, so I will see you guys tomorrow.